The Insta360 Venture case has been a hot topic on all the forums, all the problems with version 1 and then all the delays with version 2. Well, now I've got version 2 and in this video we're going to look at what is it like and is it worth buying. This is Rich from Eat-Sleep-360, and if you're new to this channel and you want weekly hints, tips and 360 tutorials and reviews, then please hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss out on any future videos. It is a protective case, so inevitably it does increase the bulk of the camera, but they have put a lot of thought into the design and they've made it as sleek and slim as possible. Now you can understand with all the leaking problems with version 1 of the Venture case that anyone buying version 2 would be a little bit cautious. And even in the instruction manual, Insta360 do say that you should do some tests with the case before you put your camera in it. But I am way too impatient for that, and we're filling up the swimming pool for the summer, so I decided just to put it straight in. I thought they're bound to get it right the second time, so I just put it straight in the case, straight in the pool, and started playing around with some shots. When you first look back at your photos, you see this huge ring in the middle of your shot. All you need to do is go into the app and you select stitching for waterproof casing, and the software eliminates the black ring. You select stitching and then you select which case you're using and it just disappears. You have to remember that the stitching underwater with the Venture case won't be perfect. It doesn't eliminate light refractions. And if you want to do some serious underwater filming or photography, then you need to use the dive case. You can see in these photos the problem with the stitching area and how visible it can be in some shots. If you're not using the full 360 photo and you're in tiny planet mode or you're reframing, then with photos it's a lot easier to work around the stitching problem. If we now look at shooting video underwater with the Venture case, you can see that the stitching issues are still quite apparent. But again, if we reframe, it is possible to work around them. Remember when you're using the camera underwater that you won't be using the app, so you have to be reliant on the camera menu and the manual operation of the camera. So you thought the 1x screen was hard to see before, put it underwater in a case and it's virtually impossible. So underwater it's really good to familiarise yourself with the LEDs so you know when the photo has been taken or when it's recording, because you can still see the LEDs flashing, and turn the beeping sound on the camera because underwater you can still hear it and it's actually a really good indicator when you've taken a photo. There are several times when I'd selected video instead of photo or photo instead of video, or I thought I'd started recording and I hadn't. So Insta360 please, a brighter screen would be really nice. The buttons are easy to press underwater because you've got one large one and one small one, so it's easy to tell the difference between the two, and it's quite difficult to get it wrong. Although I did get it wrong, but then I did have steamed up goggles, and on top of that I had a frog mask. So for most people that is not normal. When using the Venture case in a pool on a tripod, you want a tripod with a bit of weight to it. So I used the Bushman tripod without the counterweight, and that was perfect. I also took some photos with the selfie stick on the tripod, and for this I used the Bushman tripod with the Bushman counterweight, but I didn't use the Bushman monopod, because the Bushman monopod is just too nice and too expensive. I didn't want to ruin it. So the case for this shot is above the water, so this is a shot where the case is just being used for added protection for the camera against splashes. And it's the sort of shot that before I would have risked without the case, but now don't have to. What I wanted to do next in this video is show you another example of where the case is being used just to protect the camera against splashes. So I wanted to go to the beach with the waves crashing against the shore and splashing up against the camera, but the day that I went to get shots for this video, it happened to be the calmest day in history. So the water was silky smooth and still and there were no waves, but you get the idea. I still managed to get some nice tiny planet photos, and the stitching in these photos is pretty seamless. The mount for the Venture case wraps itself around the entire case and then finishes with a GoPro type attachment at the end. You have to make sure that this is done up tight, because I found that on several occasions I couldn't do the mount up tight enough and I had to use another screw thread from one of my other GoPro mounts. You can also use the Venture case as a general protective case even when there is no water. So I've done a lot of filming on my bike with the 1X, but now I've got the Venture case, it means that I can be a bit more daring with where I position it. So for this shot I put the camera on the forks of the bike, and it meant I could get some more extreme shots, low angle. The camera in this position would have been really vulnerable to stone chips and would have almost certainly have got a cracked or chipped lens. And now I can mount it in this position and I don't have to worry about it. The software is very clever at eliminating the black circle, but the stitching isn't seamless, and I think for use as an everyday case, I think too often you'd just be disappointed with the stitching line. It depends very much on the background and on the lighting and on the environment that you're using the camera in. And in some shots, if you've got even lighting, that this seems to help the stitching quite a lot. Am I being too harsh on the stitching? Let me know in the comments what you think. In the short time that I've been using the Venture case, I actually really do like it. I won't be using this every day as a general protective case like some people do because of all the reasons that we've talked about in this video. But the question I will ask myself is, am I likely to damage the camera if I don't use the case for this shot? And if the answer to that question is yes, then I will use the case. In my situation, it'll be when I ride my bike. Obviously, when I'm underwater, I'll use it as a splash case if I want to film in the rain or I want to film near a fountain or something like that. Let me know in the comments if this review has put the Venture case on or off your wish list. Please remember to subscribe, and I'll see you on the next video.